I found out that my husband had a mistress on the day that he was being buried. All I can say is that I wish I'd just gotten out of my marriage while I still could. I don't know why I'm still here, but it's too late to leave now. He's already left this earth, and I am now left to deal with the mess that he made. What did I do for him to embarrass me like that? I don't even know how to look people in the eye after the way that I've just gotten embarrassed. His mistress, who I had no idea about, came to the wedding to tell me that she wanted a part of his money. In addition to that, he apparently has a child with this woman. I'm not a person who loses her temper, but right now I am beyond pissed. I guess I should start from the very beginning with what happened at my husband's funeral. He passed away earlier this week due to health complications. I found out that he had collapsed while on a business trip. I remember being called in the middle of the night to be told that he'd collapsed. My world went silent and then became chaotic the next moment. I had to spend the night calling different people and letting them know that I needed someone to take care of our only son, who is still living with us. I finally found someone to take care of him for a few days. The lady just charged a very hefty price. It became a whole other issue when I came back because she still wanted more money. The next morning, I drove to where he was. He passed away later that night. They tried to save him through surgery, but it wasn't possible. His heart attack was too serious. It was the second one this year. I never imagined a life without him. I thought he was going to be there forever. After all, he was my rock. But unfortunately, he couldn't be one anymore. The next few days were a blur as I tried to make all those arrangements. His family had to quickly stop all that they were doing to travel to my house. They were honestly my support system throughout the whole ordeal. There was so much paperwork. If only that stupid mistress showed up when I was busy trying to arrange for his body to return home safely. She could have at least been helpful there instead of ruining the funeral that I'd planned for him. I had a lot of questions for him, and there was no one answering them. I was wondering why there was so much money missing from the joint account. I was wondering why his brother was refusing to give me his phone. He was apparently unable to unlock it. And then, as I was speaking about my husband in church, she entered. As soon as that woman entered the church, the air changed. I felt something in the way she looked me in the eyes. The only thing I could feel was chaos. Within a minute, she stood up and came to the stage. Someone tried to stop her without making a scene, but that only made her upset. She said she was going to say her piece about Alfred. I asked her who she was and told her to sit and wait her turn. She told me to shut up. If she wanted to speak, she would. And then she walked up and pushed me out of the way. I was still shocked when she started speaking. She asked if people thought ignoring her was going to make her go away. She had every right to be standing here with me. I told her to go away before I showed her exactly who I was. She laughed and said that we were practically sister wives, so why was I being so rude? I lost it. I was grabbing her before I knew it. Someone got me off her, but they didn't hold her back. She said all she wanted to say, and I had to listen to her. She said that she was my husband's girlfriend for the past 5 years. Before he died, he wanted to divorce me and be with her. They had a child together, and he was supporting her financially. She was even there when he passed away, but his co-worker made her leave. She's been contacting people close to me, letting them know that she badly needs to talk to me. She wanted to tell me a lot that I didn't know about him. The only problem was that no one wanted to allow her to speak. They were all telling her that she was a liar. I felt so betrayed. Why did he never mention her? He was my husband, and I had every right to know there was a woman he managed to hide from me for years. When I suspected this, he made it seem like I was losing it. He made everything out to be my fault when he knew very well that the bad energy around the house was his. He was the one bringing nervous energy and problems home, and he wouldn't even admit it. So now I had to watch as his mistress said that she was not going anywhere without her money. Finally, someone managed to get her out, kicking and screaming. The rest of the funeral went by in a blur. I could feel people pointing at me. I didn't buy their fake sympathy. They'd all been very entertained by that woman. Now, how was I even going to face people? I looked like a complete fool at my husband's funeral. I never thought that he would do this to me. After all, he's a very respected member of the community. Everyone respects us. At least, they used to. But now he's tainted his own name in death. He should have at least told me about her. Even if he was planning to leave our marriage for her, I deserved to know. There have been times when I felt unhappy in this marriage, but I've never thought of cheating. I've told myself to pull myself together and stay in my marriage. The reason is because we have kids together, and his family is very supportive. I couldn't imagine not being part of this family. They've done so much for me over the years, and I appreciate them so much. This is why I'm baffled that his brother knew about this but didn't tell me. Right after the funeral, I confronted Jesse about it. I asked him to tell me everything he knew, otherwise we were going to have problems. The woman's name is Valerie. He had seen her with my husband in the past, but he told Jesse that she was just a business associate. But when he passed away, she kept on calling. She told him that she wanted to be part of the arrangements and that she wanted the world to know about her. He tried his hardest to tell Valerie to leave us alone, but she didn't want to leave. She wanted what was due to her since she'd been with my husband for 5 years. That was enough for me to understand why she came to the funeral. I knew there was no way I was going to be able to ignore her now. She's here, and apparently there's a son involved as well. I'm reeling with anger, anxiety, and confusion. I know our marriage wasn't perfect, but how could he have a full-term affair without me finding out? I feel so stupid now, like I've been thrown under the bus. Now I can't mourn properly, everyone is laughing at me, and that woman is probably going to come back soon. But this time I'm going to be prepared. We need to have a talk because I'm the one who's affected the most. I refuse to let my family become a mockery because of her. She's going to answer to me, and what I say goes. Update 1. Hey all, it's been about 2 months since I last updated you guys. I feel much better now and less shocked about what happened. I've come to accept that he had a lot of secrets. Valerie, on the other hand, has been a pain in my side. She's greedy and will not stop at nothing to get what she wants from me. I've given her more than enough. I have been more generous than she deserves, but she chooses to patronize me. What happened was that a few days after the funeral, I started to look into her. I enlisted the help of my brother-in-law to look into her. She's a nurse, she has a child, and she has not been working for the past couple of years. She met my husband through her brother, who is the colleague who'd called me to let me know that my husband had collapsed. I questioned him, and he told me that he tried to stop the relationship, but his sister was stubborn. She didn't have anything in her name. She was being supported by my husband and her own brother. The worst thing about it all is that she had a son with my husband. He was born 3 years ago, and my husband's name is even on the birth certificate. There's nothing I can do about the child. He'd done nothing to deserve this. It was all his mum's fault. So once I got my husband's full estate, I called her for a meeting. I told her what happened was none of my concern. I will never accept her as part of my family and would prefer it if she did not go around advertising that she used to be my husband's mistress. There was nothing to be proud of after wrecking someone's marriage. She tried to protest with me and tell me that it was my fault that I could not satisfy my husband. I told her not to be so confident about it. After all, the same things could happen to her if she ever got married. I told her that, of course, she was still young and beautiful, thinking that she could get anything that she wanted. She thought that she was on top of the world, but to be honest, she was not. She was a secret that he kept for 5 years and had no intention of marrying. When I told her all that, she toned herself down. There was no way I was going to let her undermine me in my house. I then told her that in the will, there was nothing at all that he'd left for her. She nearly jumped off the chair when she heard that. She had said that there was no way, for he promised that she would be well taken care of after he passed. In the will, there really was no mention of her or her son. Most of the money and assets went to me, and the rest were distributed among his family. After paying off his debts, I was left with a nice nest. I was going to be able to at least financially support myself. I'm just happy that he did not leave everything to Valerie. I've heard stories where a wife is left with nothing after a cheating husband passes away. I'm glad that at least he did not do that to me. But back to what I wanted to tell her. I was going to give her money, but only for her son. He would never know his father, but at least he would have financial support. I told her that I was also going to give her some pictures of him and some things that he owns so that when he started asking questions, she would know what to tell him. She thanked me for doing that at least. I told her that I wasn't a cruel person as long as she respected me and stayed away from me from then on. So I've given her some money for the child, and I told her that I will send money each year. Legally, I do not think I have to do that, but I know that children are a gift and should not be made to pay for their parents' sins. After I sorted things out with her, I decided that I needed to focus on healing. So over the past 2 months, I've been focusing on my mental health, healing, and forgiveness. I've been talking to his family nearly every day. They make sure that I'm coping and would do anything to help me. It's been very therapeutic for me not to be so alone. At least my son is coping well with the death of his father, and our daughter was finally able to come visit me a few weeks ago. She's in graduate school and was in the middle of important tests, so she couldn't attend the funeral. She would have, but I told her that she could come later when the tests were done. I'm glad that she didn't, for she had no idea that her father had a mistress. I sat her down and told her everything as simply as I could. She was very angry when she found out. She wanted to speak to Valerie, but I managed to calm her down and tell her that it wasn't worth it. My daughter was there for a few days, and within those days, Valerie called. I asked her what she wanted and if she would imagine this. She said that she wanted more money. I told her that I'd given her more than I should have. She's been calling non-stop and has even exchanged words with my daughter. She's at least not come to the house yet, but I'm annoyed. She has no right to harass me and ask for money. I'm not Peter. If she wants money from him, then she knows where he's buried. Now I realise that I shouldn't have entertained her in the first place. I should have kicked her to the curb and never looked back. This is what I get for being too soft-hearted. Update 2. I called my in-laws. She's given me no choice but to call my in-laws. Initially, they told me that they could deal with her and make sure that I didn't need to give her money, but I thought it would be very cruel to her son if I didn't assist them with something. But after the way that she's been harassing me, I had no choice but to call my mother-in-law, crying. I told her that it was becoming very difficult for me to heal because the woman was everywhere. I only tried to help her son because I felt guilty on behalf of my husband, but now she was taking advantage of me. My mother-in-law told me that I needed to block her and make sure that my alarms were on at all times. She also told me that she was going to send someone to check in on us every day. So I did exactly that. I blocked her everywhere and updated my security. I had to go days without touching my phone because she kept finding another way to contact me. My mother-in-law pulled through on her promise to send someone in to check on us every day. Sure enough, it had been weeks without seeing Valerie, and for the first time ever, I felt peace. Valerie showed when she first came to the funeral that she was going to be troublesome. I should have known then that she was going to be a thorn in my side, which makes me wonder how she stayed silent for 5 years when she was with him. Why didn't she make her presence known? Why did she not ask him to leave me and marry her? I often wonder what it was that he saw in her. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was all we had. He was all that I knew and trusted, so why did he do this to me? I'm going to spend the rest of my life asking these questions, and I know. But at least for now, I have to heal and move on with my life. I will see how to move forward. At least I have my kids with me. Update 3. I've never felt so tired in my life. Valerie really is strong, and she will stop at nothing to get what she wants. But my family is tougher, and they said they would protect me. They've already done that, and she's paying for the consequences of her actions. She shouldn't have been so greedy. She should have accepted what we offered her, but she decided that she was going to try and take everything from me. But my in-laws had my back, and they taught her a very good lesson. She will probably never date a married man again. She might have been something before, but now she's a 0. The best part of it all is that I didn't even have to get my hands dirty. They all worked together to wreck her life just like she wrecked mine. I'm sure that when she thinks about our family in the future, she will shudder. When she sees us in the street, she will run away. I'm so glad that I told my in-laws to deal with her. This is something that I should have done in the beginning. So basically, when my mother-in-law contacted her and told her to leave our family alone, she threatened to go to the newspapers with the story. The family I got married into is very respected in the community. Most of them work in the government and business sectors. So if someone were to talk badly about us in public or on social media, it would be very bad for us. My mother-in-law told her to dare do that if she wanted to never be able to find a job in this town again. She tried to do that. She wrote a post bragging about how she took my husband, how she had his child, and how I was being sour because she deserved something for all the years that she'd been with him. They got the post deleted within a couple of hours and had her account restricted. After that, my father-in-law paid her a visit and said that we needed to do a DNA test on her son. That was the only way she was going to qualify for child support for the child. She tried to stop them by hiding her child with her mum. But then my father-in-law called her mum and let her know exactly how she got that child. Her own mum didn't know that she'd quit her job and was relying on someone's husband for money. It didn't help that her brother knew about it but didn't tell her. As for him, my family also dealt with him. They found out that he was dipping his hand in the cookie jar at work and getting up to no good. They suspected that he was the one who introduced his sister to my husband so that she could get money. It's not even a suspicion, it's the truth. While they were waiting for the DNA results, she was spiraling out of control. She was threatening the family. She was showing up at their workplaces. She was threatening to reveal secrets that my husband had told her, etc. But she was scared about what would happen. After all, her brother lost his job due to stealing from the work, so it got even better when they found out that she was also dating someone new. For someone who claimed to have loved my husband, she sure did move on fast. It was another married man, and she had no clue about what was going on. But this case was even sadder because the woman was sick. She was suffering from lupus and another health condition. Her husband, instead of supporting her, was actually spending time with Valerie. My mum-in-law sent me all the proof and told me that I could do her the honour of telling her, so I called her, set up an appointment with her, and told her my story. I then showed her a picture of Valerie and her husband. I let her know that she was bothering me and my family and trying to get money out of us. She was so shocked by what I told her and started to cry. She told me she found out that she did not have long to live due to her chronic illness. Valerie had actually been working as her nurse and helping to nurse her back to health. She'd recently started working for her as a second shift nurse. She knew everything about her family, how she had a son and no one else in the world. In fact, she had left Valerie some money in her will once she passed away. Andrea looked like more of a shell when I left her. She was an even bigger victim than I was in all this. She then told me that her husband was going to inherit all of her money when she passed away, but if he did, then he was going to spend it with Val. So instead of confronting them, she was going to live out the rest of her days. As for her money, she was going to leave it all to her family. Her husband has been very adamant about her leaving all the money to him, but now she saw what he was trying to do. He was just waiting for her to pass away without knowing a thing and then going to spend their money with that no-good woman. It baffled me that she had that much energy to keep up so many relationships. I wondered just how many she had. She really did think that she could get away with this. In the meantime, my in-laws were making her life hell. She tried to take them to court, but all of the cases were thrown out. She tried to fight them so that the DNA test couldn't be done, but they got a court order to do it. Now we're just waiting for the results. She, on the other hand, is in deep trouble. She's unable to leave her house due to people pandering to her about her lifestyle choices. It's all catching up to her, and I'm happy about it. She's the one who made her bed, therefore she should lie in it. Once those test results come back, we'll see what to do with her. Update 4. The test results did come back, and the boy really is my husband's son. There's nothing we can do about it, he's part of the family. My in-laws decided that they were going to fight for custody of the boy, so that's exactly what they did. It was so easy for them to prove that she was an unfit mother. After all, there was no proof that she used the money that I gave her to take care of the child. She most likely used it to maintain her lifestyle. Her own mother testified against her. She said that she barely visited her son and didn't send enough money. She did sort of have a job, but some things about it were fishy. This led to the discovery that she was using her job as a front to meet rich, married men. So many women messaged me, telling me that she'd wrecked their marriages and put their families in debt. I let my in-laws handle it, and they managed to gain custody of the boy. Jesse and his wife are the ones who are going to take care of the boy. It's good because they've been struggling to have their own child for years now. At least they'll have a son who's related to them. As for little Miss, she's spiraled into the shadow of her former self. She has so many cases going against her right now. She's in and out of court. There is a case that might get her some jail time, but we'll see. She's very popular in our town right now, and she's also hated. At least people have stopped focusing on how my marriage failed and are now focusing on this Jezebel. She should have taken the initial deal that I so generously offered her, but no, she wanted to take everything away from me. I told her to be careful and to stay away from married men, but she didn't listen. Now I get to laugh in her face as she loses custody of her child. I know that she's in debt and is barely making ends meet. I believe that this is a life lesson for her. She needs to go through these hardships so she can understand the pain she puts everyone through. Like I said before, I've never been so tired before. But at least now it seems like the saga of Valerie is done, and now I can finally focus on my life. I would never have been able to do this without the support of my in-laws. I would probably have lost this whole house if I'd allowed her to scare me like that. Update 5. Here I was thinking that was my last update. Alas, it was not. Karma has been working on Valerie for the past few weeks. I know everything that's been happening in her life, and she's really been suffering. She's unable to get a proper job, she's barely holding on to her apartment, and now she's just come to my house, and she's begging me for forgiveness. She told me that I'd won and that she was done fighting me. She was begging me to put an end to all of this because everywhere she went, people were spitting on her. She's lost weight and seems to have aged a lot. She tells me that she really misses her son and wishes so much to see him, as her son is the only person who still loves her. Her mother hasn't spoken to her since the court case. There's only one way she will let her come back into her life, and that is if she repents. She wants her to go and stay in a church and learn better ways to conduct herself. I told her to do that so her mother would forgive her, but she says she cannot go back to that town. There's no opportunity for growth. People that she left there once made her feel like she was nothing and will laugh at her now. She also says that she's likely to get arrested and thrown into prison because some of the things that she's done. So basically, she was asking me to make everything disappear. She wanted me to make her cases disappear and get her job back. She says that she regrets what happened with my husband and is really remorseful. I could not. I told her to leave. Otherwise, I was going to call the cops on her. So she left. But then, hours later, I got a call. She'd walked into oncoming traffic. She's alive but badly injured. I've just come from seeing her in the hospital and her face is wrecked. She needs to have surgery to fix all the broken parts of her body. Since she has no insurance, I just gave them my card so they could charge it. After that, her mother is going to fetch her. She is going back to wherever she came from. She has no choice. Otherwise, she can stay in this town where she's alone and there are people out to get her. I bet she regrets the day that she gatecrashed my husband's funeral and turned my life upside down. As for my husband, I hope that he knows how lucky he is he escaped all of this. He's so lucky that I cannot be angry with him because he's no more. My life at the moment is just chaos because of him, but I do believe that at the end of the day, there is a rainbow. Everything will be just fine. I have a very good feeling that this is the end of it. It's now time for me to restart my life and embark on a new journey alone. So, what do we think about this story? It was really dramatic and I felt sorry for OP, especially in the beginning. But how do you think about the way that she treated the mistress in the end? The mistress certainly got greedy, but did she deserve everything that happened to her with her child being taken away? I'm not so sure. It sounds like it wasn't a very happy ending for anyone involved, but hopefully in the future they'll be okay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.